Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your host TJ and Jared, and in this video, we're going to be doing a game recap of the Commanders versus Ravens game that happened this past Sunday. 2 days ago, in which we ended up getting a victory. A very good game between, two of the NFL, between one of the Lamar, obviously, a current MVP front runner, and Jaden Daniels, one of the shining bright stars of the NFL right now. And it was a good game, just like how, we expected. We expected Jaden Daniels to, be very accurate, and high, just high level with his throwing and passes. And he honestly kind of, went above that, for me, in my opinion, just the way he was throwing the ball to, Zach Ertz, across the middle of the field. The way he was having that connection with Terry McLaurin. I mean, it was really nice to see. And, I honestly, I'm glad that Washington, has finally had a good QB, because, for all these years, they haven't been able to really have a quarterback, a competent one. So to finally see, Jaden Daniels take over there and do good and do well, it's definitely, very fun to watch. Um, but I would just like to, just start off this video. I want to talk about the offense. And as I always do, it's the most exciting part of the game in my opinion. But it was really nice to see, Lamar and Derrick Henry, still do their thing. Derrick Henry, I believe he had 2 touchdowns, in Sunday's game, and still over 100 yards. He's really getting it going. And one interesting thing that I kind of remember when watching the game is I remember it was the final drive. We were trying to close the game out, and I believe it was like a second down. And I remember Tony Romo was saying, the Ravens should throw the ball here because if they don't get it, the Commanders are gonna know they're gonna throw it on third down. And you know, I was thinking the same thing too. And then the Ravens just, did that toss to Derrick Henry, and that was it. It was just couldn't do the Commanders probably knew it was coming and couldn't do anything about it. And just the fact that the Ravens have found that identity. They know what to do when to close out a game. Just give it to Derrick Henry. They know what to do over the course of the game. Give it to Derrick Henry and mix in those passes. And I really like what I saw from the offense. We saw um Zay Flowers get involved early. Me and Yims were watching the game. She was cheering on Zay Flowers. Like she was loving what he was doing. And, to see the Ravens get Zay Flowers involved, to see the Ravens get Rashad Bateman involved, Mark Andrews involved too. Even though he cost Lamar another interception, seeing him get involved was very nice. And so, you know, just spreading the ball around, that's the key. And I feel like, the Ravens offense has really figured it out. It's really, this game, I would say, since the Bills game, and then this game especially, we've really taken strides to do that. And the Bengals game as well. I really feel like we figured out our groove. And so, this is like the first time, well, not the first time, but like one of the first times since like 2019, you could really say we have a high-powered offense. It's like really fun to watch. So, I'm gonna throw it back to you. What were your opinions on the offense on Sunday's game?
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback off of what you just said, which is, they're kind of finding their stride. They have a high power offense, and I'm gonna have to agree with that. Because I mean, there was a lot of points even last year where it felt like the offense was kind of stuck. Where I mean, they definitely did find their stride. Obviously, in that Dolphins game, they found a stride. In the 49ers game, they were stuck at first, but they figured it out. But I mean, even games before that, like think about the Jaguars game. They only put up 23. They didn't seem to find a stride in that game. It was maybe one or two plays here and there that were that made our offense drive in that game and drove us to the win, but our defense led us to that win mostly. Think about the Chargers game. It was like 13-10 for most of the game, but Zay Flowers had that one play that changed the game, and I mean, how many times last year, I mean, did the offense just go silent, like in the second half or whatever? Well, maybe not silent in the second half, but like, you know, think about like the Steelers game. You only put up 10 points, and then And then some of the early losses in the season, like to the Colts and stuff, there were just a lot of points in time where it's just like, it's just offense truly elite, but they found their stride towards the end of the year, and this year, like, it's really just it's really different, and it feels like there's a lot of missing pieces to last year's offense that are on the team right now. When it comes to, I'm going to give the offensive line a lot of credit for this as well. Lamar has time to throw. I mean, Lamar hasn't had this much time to throw since probably 2019. And I think there was points last year where he could throw. He had time to throw, but he was more, I don't want to say improvising, but I could think like, maybe that Dolphins game was probably the most time he's had to throw, and last year obviously that showed with his 300-yard, 5 touchdown performance, but it feels like this year he just has time to sit there and find wide open guys, because and this is what we wanted, and it makes your receivers look better. And I mean, if you had to compare their weapons to this team, the 2019's team, the weapons on this team are way better. I like way better, So, and if Mark could continue to find his stride, which he did in this game, then the offense is going to continue to get dangerous. But to kind of get back to the main point here, talking about the offense, they just looked almost unstoppable at points, and honestly, it took a lot of beating themselves to be stopped. Like, I don't know if you remember the one drive where we got to the red zone, we stopped throwing the ball. I mean, when we stopped running the ball, I mean, and even Romo was confused, like, why didn't we use Henry here? Like, why didn't, like, in this red zone scenario, you threw it like 3 straight times, so, that I think, we could have had more points on the board than we did, with that being the case, but overall, the offense just looks really good, and like you said, Zay's eating. I mean, I think he got all of receptions only in the first half, but he was like 9 for 9. 9 receptions on 9 targets. Same thing with Bateman, 4 targets on 4 receptions. I bet you when we look over the stats, that's exactly what it's going to say. So, and I'm happy for Bateman. He seems to eat a little bit more these past few weeks. So he's kind of reverting back to that 2021 Bateman, the chain mover Bateman. And that's something I kind of brought up a few weeks ago, that what he used to be, and he seems to be doing it again. So if he could be a chain mover, while Zayd's a chunk play eater, and Mark and Isaiah likely can be red zone guys, this just offense can just, and then obviously you got Henry, So I mean, this offense has the potential to reach the stars even more. Probably reach another universe of stars at this point. We're just kind of already there.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's very fun to watch. We're gonna have a big test, next Monday. We're gonna be going up against the Buccaneers who put up like I believe 54 points against the
Yep.
Saints. So, there's another high-powered offense. They have two number one wide receivers and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin over there. So it's going to be very fun. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. A treat for the fans, but I don't know about the defensive fans, but definitely for the offensive fans, it's going to be a treat to watch. But, I think this is a great segue going into the defense. Two things to just bring up. Me and you kind of talked about this earlier with our texts. The secondary is still very, very iffy. And we've seen, three trades going today. Devontae Adams going to the Jets, Amari Cooper going to the Bills. The Texans sent Cam Akers to the Vikings for some picks. We've seen trades today. We were talking about the possibility, maybe I almost said the Orioles. Maybe the Ravens should explore, some trades. Maybe trading Marcus Williams. Eddie Jackson is also, a player that everybody kind of has their eyes on, in terms of maybe we should step away. And B. Steve, I would probably say B. Steve, in my mind, he is one of those guys, but maybe like a third option, but more so Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson. Just very, 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 just mediocre seasons from them so far. They've been getting beat a lot. Honestly, they've been getting beat by a lot of guys they shouldn't get beat by. You shouldn't get beat by Andre Iosivas, last week against the Bengals. Shouldn't get beat by him. Um, it wasn't necessarily on um Marcus Williams or Eddie Jackson, but the way that Brock Bowers just torched us on top of Devontae Adams, you don't want two guys torching you at the same time. I mean, let's just keep it at one. And even, some when it comes to some tackling plays, in that play that Josh Allen did, throwing it down the field to Khalil Shakir, That was on Eddie Jackson. So just tighten up the secondary. That's definitely going to be a big, issue that we need to fix, moving, as the season goes along. And, I would just like to see the Ravens kind of explore a trade. Some teams that you mentioned earlier, you said they were fake good teams, and I agree. You mentioned the Bears, you mentioned the Eagles. Um, I believe the Saints were on there as well, and I can't remember the fourth team, but those were some great that I really thought that was a great, point that you brought up. So, what are some players that, what are some players from those teams that just come to the, top of your head, just you think would fit on the Ravens?
Well, you brought up one earlier. You said Marshawn Lattimore, but I mean, I don't know if you'd want to steal from like the Eagle secondary, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
I
a lot of
remember that
guys.
game.
There's a lot of guys that get cooked there. Obviously, with the Broncos, you could think about guys like Pat Surtain. I think Justin Simmons is in Atlanta now, so I don't think he's there anymore. But you think of Pat Surtain. So but I think they just gave him some money. So I don't know if we can afford that cap. Um, who else did I say? I said
The Bears.
the Bears. I mean, the only guy other secondary I can really think of right now is Jalen Johnson, but I also think he just got paid. He was one of our trade, talking points last year when me and you did a trade deadline video. But but the Bears, I think they're less of a fake good team. Like they're not like really like bad, but like they are definitely on the come up. And I think Caleb Williams has had a decent week, the last past few weeks, so I think what that came against the it was last week is the Jags. The week before it was what?
Panthers.
Titans or Panthers. So I don't exactly know how you want to take that, as they weren't playing high level opponents. But I mean, I guess you got to give them credit. They definitely did play good against bad teams, which you're supposed to do. So, maybe they are a good team in disguise in these last few weeks, or maybe they're just the bad team that played bad teams. Like a mediocre team, mid team, up and coming team playing bad teams. So, I can't really think of anybody in the Bears defense at the moment. I was also thinking about possible pass rushers as well, not just secondary. Like guys like Max Crosby, who's playing on a bad Raiders team, which we lost to. But it would probably take heaven and earth to get him off the Raiders, to be honest. Um, there's not a lot of guys that I can really think of like off the top of my head. I think Yannick has done really well so far this year. When it comes to getting not getting home at least, but at least getting pressures. So because I was thinking about this earlier, like going back to Max Crosby, like you got him on the outside, you got Oway on the other side. Madubuike and Travis Jones in the middle, and they won't have to focus only on Madubuike. They'll have to focus mainly probably on Crosby and guys like Madubuike and Jones and away will eat. So I guess we're just gonna have to see. Maybe EDC feels like this team is just, already, well built. Maybe he just feels like it's less of a player's problem and more of just the scheme's they gotta get used to the scheme. But I guess we're gonna see. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens made a move. I also really wouldn't be that surprised if they didn't. So um I think that the Ravens offensively are fine at the moment, unless like we're tasked with some new thing that we haven't been tested against. Maybe there's some kind of new blitz scheme that we haven't played against, or some kind of, coverages that we haven't played that we haven't, mastered yet that maybe another receiver could help with. But at the moment, right now, I think that we're fine offensively. But I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in more talent, make us harder to stop.
That is a good point, and trying to just, going back to the defense, when you were talking, some guys that I was thinking of, Darius Slay, is a good look, and I say that because, he had heavy interest, he had every heavy interest and connections to the Ravens. I think a couple off seasons ago, I remember watching a video of his on his podcast. He thought he was going to be a Raven, and then the Eagles
Wasn't
threw
that
a
last
deal
offseason?
at him. I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
The Eagles threw a new deal at him and, he resigned there. So, he's a little bit on the older side, but, he definitely has, the skills and he is a sort of a ball hawk. He's maybe earlier in his career he was a ball hawk, but he definitely has the ball skills, to still go up against the top wide receivers and do pretty well. Um, I also thought of even though he's not that good this season, maybe the Ravens kind of coach him to be a little bit better. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he was really good in 2022. Um, he was pretty solid for the Lions. Like I said, so far this season, he is kind of missing a lot of tackles and not really playing like how he was with the Saints and the Eagles. But let's just say the Ravens get him back. Maybe we could get him back to that form or closer. We haven't been doing that with Eddie Jackson so far, so I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and then, when it comes to the Bears, a guy that comes to mind is Kevin Byard. I remember he got traded to the Eagles last year. For the longest time when he was on the Titans, he was looked at as one of the best safeties in the league, so we do need safety help, because it's been underwhelming in that position so far this year. So, and corner help too. So, maybe that's something that the Ravens can look into. And I hope that we do. I wouldn't also be opposed to bringing in a guy on offense as well. But I think defense needs a little bit more help.
Hmm. Oh, to kind of just say here, I think, like I said, I don't think we have a bad defense. I just think, I mean, we had massive turnover on the defensive coaching side. We lost a lot of guys. Like, I think we lost our secondaries coach. Obviously, we lost our defensive coordinator. Like, a linebacker coach got it. I mean, I can think our linebacker coach is our defensive coordinator now, but, forgot who he was or what he coached. But we lost a lot of guys last offseason or this offseason, or whatever you want to say it was, to other coaching positions. So we got a relatively new defensive staff, so um maybe it's just gonna take time. Like I said, I don't think we have bad players, but with Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens not having good ball skills, it just kind of sucks. And Kyle Hamilton isn't your average safety, so he's not going to be back there a lot, catching a lot of picks. And Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson are the guys that are back there, and they look lost 90% of the time. I mean, Marcus Williams is doing this, turnaround, doing all these weird moves, trying to seem like he's Ed Reed or whatever, and then he winds up, allowing a freaking 50-yard touchdown or whatever. And on top of that, I think that the middle of the field's been a problem for us as well. It's left butt naked open,
Right.
like it's just, and that's more of Roquan's territory. So, and Roquan has looked a little bit slower this year, so I think that, as time goes on, hopefully it'll get better, with, Zach Orr and others getting used to everything here. But maybe Zach Orr needs that piece like how Mac McDonald got in 2022, which was, you know, Roquan Smith, So I'm not saying we can get another Roquan Smith because I mean we got Trent Simpson over there who's a great linebacker who's having a good season so far, but maybe he needs, I mean our last three coordinators, defensive coordinators got their guys that turned around the defense in the season. Marcus Peters, Roquan Smith, or I said our last two, I should say. So hopefully it's three, maybe it's Zach Orr as well, So but I guess we're just gonna have to see.
Yeah, and like I said, like we said, we really both hope that, no matter what moves we make or don't make, this defense can just tighten up,
Yeah.
because it would suck if the offense is doing well and the defense just keeps letting up points like how it was in the Bengals game. That could cost us the season. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because literally one aspect of the Ravens could be perfect, but then another aspect of our team could just be so underwhelming and falling short every time, and it caused us to lose.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and we can just build an all-around balanced team. But at the end of the day, we got the win 30-23. Everybody was clicking. We were kind of pulling away, but we did let them come back a little bit, but that's expected. But hopefully we can tighten up by the next game. But you know, do you have any ending thoughts that you wanna, say?
You go over the stats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
All
we gotta go with stats. Oh, I'm tripping.
right, we could do that now.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
let's
that's
go.
that's my thoughts right there. Let's go over the stats. All right, all right. So you can read off all the offense stats here.
All right. So Lamar had a very efficient day, 20 of 26, 323 yards, one touchdown, one pick. Derrick Henry once again had a monster day, 24 carries, 132 yards, two touchdowns. Lamar Jackson also had 11 carries for 40 yards. Um, for the receiving, Zay Flowers had a great day, nine receptions for 132 yards. It would have been nice to see him get a touchdown, on
Hmm.
that one 44 yard that he had in the first quarter. Rashard Bateman had four receptions for 71 yards. Really great game by him. Mark Andrews had three receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely had two receptions for 27 yards. And Nelson Aguilar had one reception for 25 yards. So, look at that ball spread right there. Like everybody, got a chance to make a play.
Hmm. Yeah, it is good. It is good ball spread, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, like Zay Flowers 9 for 9, Bateman 4 for 4. Um, they're taking advantage of their opportunities,
Oh yeah.
and that's just like I said, Bateman's just been a chain mover. I don't know how many first downs he got in this game, but I feel like every catch was for a first down. So and he had that one, rack, catch. I feel like a lot of his catches have been like he catches it and then that's it. Like there's no yak after that. It's just that right there. He gets tackled or he like gets it and falls, whatever. But he finally got some, yak, in that one play. He did a little Zay Flowers move where he tried to, step back and juke out the defender. So he's been hanging out with Zay a little bit too much, it seems, with that. But I think
Oh yeah.
overall, you know, um, efficient day. I would have liked to see Lamar get like two or three touchdowns in this game, in my opinion. But um Lamar and Harbaugh aren't really stats guys, so I'm just glad we got the win, I guess. I don't want him to get three, four touchdowns and we lose. Like last week, if we had lost to the Bengals, his stats, I wouldn't have cared, because we would have lost. He could have thrown for 10 touchdowns, and if we would have lost, it'd have been like, well, whatever.
It
So,
didn't count really. So yeah.
exactly. So, to move on to the defensive stats here, Marlon Humphrey is your leading tackler, nine total tackles, eight of them were solo. He has a tackle for loss and a pass deflection. Roquan Smith had seven total tackles, five of them were solo. Travis Jones had four total tackles, three of them were solo. He gets his first sack of the season and two tackles for losses. He gets one QB hit. Trenton Simpson, Kyle Hamilton, and Nate Wiggins all had four total tackles, three of them were solo. Nate Wiggins has two pass deflections, and Kyle Hamilton has a QB hit. Michael Pierce had four total tackles. One of them were solo. He has half of a sack and a QB hit. Brandon Stevens has three total tackles. Three of them are solo. He has a pass deflection. I want to say before we move on, Brandon Stevens, I thought he had a better game than a lot of people, kind of talked about. I just think that Terry McLaurin just made great catches. Because I will say with Brandon Stevens, he's there. Like he has no ball instincts. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt where he used to be. They said that he when he went to UCLA or when he was a freshman, he was a running back. So he got transitioned into the defense not that long ago, and then on top of that, he was a safety. We drafted him as a safety and turned him into a corner. So
He's been
you
moved
think
around.
yeah, so it is his non-ball skills are getting a little old now, but it would be nice to add a ball hawking, a player to our secondary. But anyways, to continue on, Eddie Jackson had three total tackles, one of them were solo. Kyle Van Noy had two total tackles, two of them were solo, and so did Marcus Williams. Nnamdi Madubuike had two total tackles and a half of a sack. He has a QB hit. Yannick Ngakoue has one total tackle, one of them were solo. He has a sack and a tackle for loss and a QB hit. And Lamar Jackson's up here, so that's probably after the pick.
Yeah.
But we don't have to. Oh, bro, Braid got a tackle in this game. He's probably on special teams. But Odafe Owe has been kind of he's been kind of like nowhere to be found the past few weeks. So that's kind of interesting. Um, go over the team stats really quick. Um, Team stats. The Ravens convert 28 first downs, while the Commanders only command get 18. We both have 16 passing first downs. We have nine rushing first downs, and they only have one. Three from penalties, and one for the Commanders. We went 6 for 10 on third downs. Commanders went 4 for 12. The Commanders went 1 for 1 on fourth down, and we didn't have to convert one. We ran 65 total plays, and they ran 56. We had 484 total yards to their 305. We had nine total drives to their nine total drives. We averaged 7.4 yards per play. That's amazing. That's only two plays and a first down. While the Commanders averaged 5.4, 308 passing yards for the Ravens to 253 for the Commanders. Um, let's see. Lamar was sacked two times, and Jayden Daniels was sacked three times. We ran we had 176 rushing yards to their 52 on 37 rushing attempts to their 18, 4.8 yards per rush to their 2.9. We were 3 for 4 in the red zone, and they were 2 for 3. We only had three penalties in this game. Thank God it wasn't a penalty show like that Jets Bills game. But three penalties for 33 yards to their 6 for 46. We turned the ball over once, and that was the interception. Our time of possession was 36 minutes and 8 seconds to their 23 minutes and 52 seconds. So, love to see that the Ravens control the time of possession. It seems like every time they do that, they just command the game. And no, no pun intended. But I think overall this game, if this was played 2, 3 years down the line, I think the Commanders would have like a better shot with the chances they would have to upgrade their defense and upgrade maybe their offense as well. I think this just game just showed the talent level, the experience, the differences in this game were showed. In my opinion, with the Ravens just commanding the game offensively, they didn't let that pick, really wave them in the wrong direction like we've seen before. Like a turnover happens early in the game, Ravens fall apart. That seems to be more on these experienced defense, like the Chiefs last year and the Steelers last year as well. You can definitely tell the talent and the veteran discrepancy here, or whatever you want to say. Talent levels, whatever you want to say. So because it never really felt like the Ravens had a chance to lose, in my opinion, even though it was a close game. So it really never felt like on that last drive where we needed to convert a first down. I thought it was just going to be easy. And it was pretty easy. And that's no shot to the Commanders, but this is, their first 5 games in Jane Daniels' career and the first 5 games in their successful window. So, um, or championship window, whatever you want to call it. So, maybe down the line, we face them in 4 years or maybe even 2 years, possibly. It could be different, but you could definitely see the difference in talent and even confidence, I would say as well.
Yeah, I agree. And like we were alluding to and both saying, Jaden Daniels is going to be a great quarterback.
Yep.
Him and Lamar are going to have plenty of beltway battles in the future. Hopefully Lamar can add on to that 22-1 NFC record that he has right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jaden Daniels is doing that chips, a couple losses onto that. So, you know, us here at Birds of Prey, we see his talent. We see how good he's going to be. For sure. And it honestly, it was scary. I was scared a little bit. He was throwing some dots.
Hmm.
He was throwing some dots all over the field. So,
Hmm.
you know, he's a good quarterback already.
Absolutely.
That's that LSU, that's the LSU, QB system. They're bringing in dogs. So
Yeah, they're the new QBU, aren't they? That used to be Oklahoma. Now that Lincoln Riley's gone, it's now LSU. Have you seen the video of when he transferred to ASU?
yeah, and they were talking trash about him.
Yeah,
He
I wonder
was
where
he
that
was
guy
showing
is.
them. Yeah,
They're filming him. How do you do that? Like,
I- that is just awkward. Yeah, I don't even know.
yeah,
It's just awkward. But like I'm glad. He's really showing them. Like you said, LSU is a new QBU. They're the wide receiver U too. They're all the
yeah,
U's. So
yeah.
they're producing a lot of great players. You know, but I believe that's all we have for this video now. I can't believe I had that blunder and missed the stats earlier, but I believe that's all we have, for this video. Ravens did what they need to do. They got the W, 30-23. Was a great game. Great game by the offense, solid game by the defense. Still a little bit left to be desired, but they got the job done. Now it's on to the Bucks. But you know, that was a fun game to watch. And
Hmm.
also, if you guys missed the game, the NFL posted it on YouTube. The full game is on YouTube now. So if you guys missed the game, that's back-to-back weeks like the NFL has posted our, team, our games against, our opponents on YouTube. So, that'll be a treat for you guys to watch. But make sure you guys comment down below. What were your thoughts about the game? What were your thoughts about Lamar's performance? What were your thoughts about the defense? Do you agree with our takes on potentially trading, Marcus Williams or Eddie Jackson or B. Steve, for, some cornerbacks or safeties? Let us know down below. Also, make sure you subscribe to our social medias. Follow them. Follow our Instagram. Jared's posting some, great, content on there. He's making those great graphics, the final score, the game day graphics. I know he's got something cooked up for that Buccaneers, Monday Night Football game. It's gonna be a great game. So make sure you comment, you like our Instagram. Also follow our TikTok. Make sure you check out the vlog. Jared did go to the Orioles, and even though the season didn't end how we wanted to, he still has some great content on his vlog there. So make sure you check that out. Follow the TikTok. And also follow our Twitter, you know. And we have a second channel, Casual Cinema. We have a great review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I always say that I want to do Alien Romulus. I might buy it, honestly. So we're gonna have to watch that together. But make sure you check out that channel, subscribe, comment on our latest review video and show some love. Just show some love to both channels. Just spread love around Bird Spray Sports, all of our outlets and all that. So, that's all we got for you guys today. Um, you know, anything else you want to say?
Yep.
That's all we got for you guys today. TJ and Jared, we're out.
Right.